Start with the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Dear students of class first year, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome you in Pakistan International School Taif's virtual learning system. How are you, dear students? Hope that you are doing well and working hard with the studies. Today we have English lecture number 8 for grade first year, and we are going to learn unit 9, the white lamb. Unit 9, the white lamb, by Sero Khanzadian, is the writer of this story, and definitely it's page number 82 to 92. And here's your teacher, Sarfraz Nadeem. Dear students, in last lecture we completed the chapter number 7, and it was about choice of career. And then chapter 8 is not included, so we are here on chapter number 9. So let's start the unit 9, the white lamb. Here we are, dear students, on page number 82, and it's all about by the end of the unit, the students will be able to read a text to make connections between characters, events, motives, and causes of conflicts in text across cultures. Analyze story elements, characters, events, setting, plot, theme, tone, point of view. Recognize the author's purpose and point of view and their effects on the text. Analyze the conflict in a story or literary selection. Explore options to resolve the conflict. Propose another resolution. Identify universal themes present in literature across all cultures. Use special devices to support arguments. Appeal to logic through the reasoning. Appeal to emotion or ethical belief relating a personal encoded or analogy. Demonstrate heightened awareness of conventions and dynamics of group discussion and interaction to present and explain one of points. Illustrate use of transitive and intransitive verbs. Illustrate appropriate vocabulary and spelling in their own writing. So this is after the completion of this unit, the students will be able to know about the story and their transitive and intransitive verbs, vocabulary, and different things about the literature. So dear students, let's start the unit 9, the white lamb. The white lamb. The old gardener, Navarsad, went down to the spring that welled up under the nut tree to wash and to rest. No sooner had he bent down to let the cool water splash on his sunburned face than he heard the team leader calling him. Hey, Navarsad, hurry, your son Arshak is back. What? The old man said excitedly and then straightened up with difficulty. He rushed back up to where the man was standing with an agility surprising for his years. What did you say? When did he come? Where is he? He's in the village. I saw him myself. He's driving a blue sedan, riding through the village. Lucky you, Navasad. God has blessed you with a fine son. The sun began to shine 10 times as brightly as before. Navasad felt he was walking on air. His heart pounded with excitement. Navasad seemed to be pondering over something as he looked in the direction of the village, but then turned sharply and ran towards the spot in the orchard instead. He had not seen Arshak for 10 years. Each year he would look at the road hopefully and wait. He had waited patiently, and now at long last he would see him. Ashik had come at a good time. Fruit in orchards had ripened, and he was still hale and hearty. Now, dear students, in these two three paragraphs, it is clear that Nawasad had as a son Arshak, whom he had sent for study to Moscow. Nawasad had no other living relative except Arshak. One day, the team leader told Nawasad that his son had come home. He had seen him in a blue sedan in the village. Nawasad became happy and hurried towards the village because he had not seen Arshak for 10 years. He had waited for him impatiently. Nawasad had no living relatives left in the village. His had not been a happy life. He had never had any children of his own, and his wife had died many years before. His brother and his sister-in-law had died of hunger during the war, leaving an only son, Ashok. Then he recalled that the largest of the watermelons had ripened under the huge mulberry tree by the river bank. He cut its stem, wiped the silvery dust from the melon with the hem of his long jacket and admired its shiny stripes. Now, dear students, here in this paragraph, it is told that the Navasad had nothing else, just a son, because his wife has died many years before, and his brother and his sister-in-law had died of hunger during the war, and leaving an only son, Ashok. So Ashok was the only son of the Navasad. He hadn't any relative more. So now when he started to come towards the Ashik, when he heard that he is there, so he was just going there, but he saw that the watermelons has ripened under the huge mulberry tree. So in the river, he cut its stem and wiped in silvery dust from the watermelon. My Ashik loves watermelon. So now he cut the watermelon for the Arshad that he loves watermelons. He mumbled, he got down and mumble means he just said in his mind or in his low voice. He got down on his knees, but his arms around the melon and squeezed hard with his ear to the rind. He nodded approvingly at the sound. He then went over to the fig tree, climbed with difficulty, and began picking the honey sweet fruit that had been picked at here and there by the birds. He chose the figs and packed them gently into a bright woven basket. Then Navas set out along the bank to where a 6-month-old white lamb was grazing. He was saving the lamb for a special occasion. Ashik has come here home. I finally lived to see the day. Navasar said to himself and untethered the lamb. It bleated loudly. Let's go, fellow, Navasar said. Come on, Ashik's home. He climbed the steep path to the village, the heavy basket pressed on his shoulders, while the meek and gentle lamb either ran on ahead or fell behind him. Where are you going so early in the day? The people he met on the way asked. Ashik has come home for a visit, the old man would reply proudly. Now, dear students, he was on the way to meet with Ashik when he heard from his team leader that he is back to village after 10 years. He sent him for studies. So he was very happy. He was waiting impatiently for Ashok that he one day the day will come and Ashok will be back to village. So he got the watermelon, he got the honey sweet fruit, and everything he got for his son Ashok. And also he said to a lamb that just follow me because Arshak is there, so we have to reach over there. So they were both going, and in a way, when who someone was asking that where are you going so early in the day, he was saying then that Ashik has come home for a visit, and he was telling the people proudly. On the way, each tree and bush, each stone and spring reminded him of Arshik's childhood. Many were the times that he carried the child up the steep path on his back. He would sit down to rest on a stone. Navarsad would give Arshak a peer and would wipe his nose with the hem of his long jacket. There was the spring which Arshik liked to drink from. Navarsad would cup his hands and Arshik would drink from them. Here was a small orchard. The trees still bore fruit abundantly and stayed green for into the autumn. When Arshik was 11, he fell from the cherry tree and broke his leg. Navasad carried him the many miles to the doctor in the distant settlement. Then Navasad thought of all the things he had sold to outfit Arshik for the city life when he had sent boy off to study. It had been a long stretch, but Arshik graduated from the university. He had then gone out to study in Moscow. He had risen high in the world. Navasad would often tell his fellow villagers about these things. Now, dear students, in these paragraphs, when he was on the way to the Ashik, he was thinking about the childhood days of the Arshik, that how he was coming with him to the uh, land or on orchard, and how he was making him to sit over there and he was working. And also one day he just fell down from the cherry tree as well, and his leg was broken, and Navarsad carried him the many miles to the doctor and the distant settlement. And also he was thinking about it how he sold to outfit Arshik for the city, all the things, and to the city life when he had sent the boy for the study. Means he all the things he just sold for the study of for the purpose for the study of the boy in the city in the Moscow. He had risen high in the world nowadays. So he was even see these things he was telling to their villages proudly about his son. Here we are, dear students. Yes, important work she was doing in the capital about his grand car and that he lived in the biggest house in Moscow. He was telling to his friends, villagers, that he is working a very important thing over there in the city and in Moscow, the biggest city. The old man was in a hurry to reach the village. The meek and timid lamb followed on his heels. Meek and timid deer means meek means obedient one, and lamb was just following on his means on his foot. Lamb was coming. He finally reached his house but did not see Ashik's car outside. Why didn't he drive right up? Navarsad wondered. Oh, what I'm talking about, the gravel's too sharp here. He was probably afraid he would ruin his tires. It's good he didn't drive up to the house. His one-story flat-roofed house with a terrace and an earthen floor was like an eagle's nest stuck on to the mountain slope, among many others. Now, dear students, these paragraphs are telling that when he reached at the home, he didn't see the Ashik's and even car, and he was thinking that why Ashik didn't bring the car out inside the home, but he couldn't see. He said, no, might be the tires of the Ashik's car will be uh, it will be difficult for the car's tires, might be they become uh, so like this. He was thinking about it, but he say okay, it's good that he didn't drive up to the house. And he was thinking about his house. That house was just earthen floor and nothing was over there. Navasad entered the yard, set the basket on the ground, tossed an armful of grass to the lamb, and looked about. For the first time in his life, the house looked pitiful and descript to him. Now, while it's Ashik's house too, this is where he grew up. He won't be ashamed of his own house, he said to console himself and began clearing the yard. Congratulations, Nawasad, Ashik's comeback. It was the old neighbor woman looking over the fence. Now, dear students, when he reached, he said, my house is not so good and might be it will not be liked by the Arshak, but he said, no, it's a good house because Arshak grew up over here and he won't be ashamed of his own house. And he said, console himself and began clearing the yard. But one woman was standing over the fence and he said, congratulations, Nawasad, Ashik has come back. Congratulations, Nawasad, Ashik's comeback. It was the old neighbor woman looking over the fence. Nawasad flushed with joy. Thank you, and may your wanderer return as well. Now he say, okay, thank you, but might be your people who are son who went outside, might they return? I saw Ashik. Was he here? No, I went to the shop for a package of needles and saw him standing out in front of the farm office. What a fine boy he is. You would never say he wasn't a Shah's son. Just couldn't take my eyes off him. May the Lord bless you. Now the women told him that I saw Arshik. So they asked where he was. He was here at home. He said, no, I went to the shop for a package of needles and I saw him standing out in front of the farm house. So he thanked, he is a very good boy. He is a fine boy, and may Allah bless him. May Lord bless him. Then Nawaz said, thank you. The old man said in a voice that was thick with the emotions. He went about tidying up the yard with zeal. First, he swept up the dirt. I don't want my boy to dirty his shoes. Then he hammered in a protruding nail with a rock. Ashik might catch his sleeve on it and tear his jacket. Nawasad opened the door. A coat stood forlornly against the bear. Now, dear students, definitely he was when he reached home, he was trying to clean the home. He with great zeal, and he was taking all the things clean because he was don't want his boy to make his shoes dirty, and he was thinking that he all the trees and other things must be rocks and nail with a rock. He everything he was making clean, and he was just cleaning the house for his son. Well, I'll say, remember how you slept on this bed, Ashik, and I slept here on the floor. He was thinking as he smoothed the cover. I'll say, this is your old bowl, the one you ate from. Look, Ashik, this is your wooden spoon. Remember the day I bought it from the wood carver Manus, and you were angry because there was no design on it, and then I took it to the artist and had it painted for you. Now, dear student, again he is thinking about his son, that Arshik, do you remember that you slept on this bed and I was sleeping on the floor, and this is the bowl, old bowl, and Arshik, this is your wooden spoon as well. And one day you become angry because I bought this one for you, but you said, oh, there's no design on it. Then I took it to the artist and painted it over for you. Now he is remembering all his childhood things. Conversing thus in thought with Arshik, he set out for the spring, brought some water and sprinkled the yard, the terrace, and the floor inside. Then he began to sweep. Once again, the old neighbor woman's head appeared over the fence. Now, sir, do you know that Arshik has gone over to the chairman's? No? When did he go there? Just before you got back. He must have seen there was no one at home and gone over there to rest up. He'll be along. He won't get lost. Of course. Now, again, dear students, the same women came and said that, do you know that Arshik has gone over to the chairman? He said, no. And when did he go there? He asked. Just before you got back. He said he must even seen, he came in the house and he didn't see to me. He didn't see anyone over here. That's why he went over there for rest. He won't get lost. Of course, he will come back. Nawasat brought some kindling wood and stacked it by the outdoor fireplace. Then he took his knife from his belt and went over to the lamp. At the last moment, he changed his mind. I'll wait till Ashik comes, he decided, and looked into the direction of the chairman's two-story house. What's keeping him? It'll be dark soon. The fix will spoil. The cornel will lose its test. Now, dear student, he was thinking that I must take a knife for to slaughter the lamb, but he said, no, let the Ashik come. And he was waiting impatiently. And he said, what he's doing there? And it is dark, it's going to be dark now, and the figs will spoil, and the corn will lose its taste. Means the fruit he brought, he was thinking might he will then not have the remain the same taste. He was means waiting all over. He took the fruit from the basket and laid it on the windowsill. Then he borrowed a new tablecloth from the neighbors, covered the table, shook out the rug, covered the couch, and put it a pillow on it. Everything was now ready. Still, Ashik had not come. What's the matter? Why did he go to the chairman's house? Nawasad wondered irritably, and a tremor passed through his hands. He hurried to console himself, however, saying Arshak is an important man. He had to drop by and ask the chairman about how things are in the village and what's the rush of anyway. I'll have him all to myself for a couple of days. I won't let him out of my sight. Will make up for the lost time. Now, dear student, he's thinking that why he went to the chairman's home and what is the reason to be there, but might be he went over there to ask him about the village. But when he will come, I will not let him to go away from my eyes, and I will take him with myself, and I will discuss lots of things. Then the sun was setting, but still she had not come home. The old man's anxiety mounted. There was a moment when he was about to set out for the chairman's house, but then he changed his mind. He went into the yard and called to his neighbor's grandson. Run over and said what Ashik is doing. Tell him I'm at home and waiting for him, he said. The boy was back in no time. Well, did you see Ashik? What's he doing? Drinking tea. Did you tell him that I'm home? Yes. What did he say? He said, all right. Nawasat repeated the words himself. Well, then that means he'll soon be home. I'll start the fire for the shellak meanwhile. Now, dear students, he was when he was vending, he it was difficult for him to wait, and he went to he first he thought that he must go to the chairman's home or farmhouse, but he changed his ideas and he went to his neighbor's home and he called his grandson and said him to go to Arshit and see what he is doing and tell him I'm at home and waiting for him. The boy came quickly and he said, did you see Ashik? He said, yes. What he was doing? The boy said he was drinking tea. Did you tell him that I am home? The boy said, yes, I told him that your father is waiting. Then what he said, okay. Then he asked himself that, okay, he will come now very soon and might be I must start with Sheshlik meanwhile. He had a good fire going in the fireplace. Then he set to cleaning the skewers. He went back into the house, wiped the dust off the lamp and sat down at the table to wait. Now again, he just went to take the lamp and clean the lamp as well, dear students. Time dragged on endlessly. The lights went on the village, and the houses took on a cozy look. The street noises were dying down soon. The only sound was that of dogs barking mournfully in the distance. Now, dear students, it becomes night. In other words, everything was silent in the village. There was the sound of the dogs barking. Nothing was over there. Ashik had still not returned. The fire died down, leaving a mound of ashes in the fireplace, while the lamb lay on the grass, chewing its cud. Navarsad was all ears as he peered into the darkness. His eyes became strained and started to steer. His head felt heavy. He rose, but his feet refused to budge. Why should I go begging to him? I am older than he is. He should come to me. He began to grumble, but then consoled himself once again by saying, well, he is an important man. Maybe he has some important business to discuss with the chairman. He'll come home in the morning. But still he waited for into the small hours. The autumn night was drawing to a close. The old man's eyes grew dim from peering. Now, dear students, here it just night came, and once he thought that I must go to the chairman's farmhouse, but he said no because I am older and he is younger. He must come to me. He should come to me. But again, he was making his heart that no, might be he has an urgent piece of work with the chairman to discuss kind of business or core issues as well. He'll come home in the morning. Then he thought that might be his night is there. He will come in the morning. Intently into the darkness, slumber gradually lulled him to sleep at the table. He did not know how long he had slept. He was awakened by the neighbor's woman's voice calling from the yard. He opened his eyes and was surprised to see the first rays of the sun peeping into the window. Navarsad, hey Navarsad, the neighbor called. He rushed out of the house. His neighbor was looking over the fence. How came you have slept so late today? What is it? Is Ashik on his way here? No, she said and shook her head. Your Ashik is leaving. Look at the road. Navasad felt as if the roof had come down on his head. He ran over to the low shade and climbed to the roof. Ashik's car was speeding along the road, glittering in the sun, quickly becoming smaller and smaller. His unsteadily gait was that of an old man. Navarsad was making his way down the path to the orchards. His eyes that stared at the ground seemed to have become sunken. His back seemed more stooped than ever. The white lamp gamboled after him. Now, dear students, when he was just sleeping, he was told by the neighbor that your son has gone. He said, where? He said, he's gone away. And you can see on the road when he saw that his car was going and going, and he became so sad that son didn't come to him. Even after 10 years, son didn't come to the father. He came to the chairman's farmhouse and then he went out from there. But the father who just was waiting impatiently, father who sold everything for him, the son didn't come to him. So this was, dear students, after this was a great lesson for the students that when you are working hard and one day when you will reach at your goal, then you must remember your parents. You are not supposed to leave them. Have you heard about Adha, the son of a peasant? Peasant means farmer. Khan Zadian was trained as an elementary school teacher and taught in mountain villages of Armenia until he was called to the service in 1941. He was wounded in action several times and was decorated for valor. His first book, The People of Our Regiment, 1949, is about the courageous defenders of Leningrad. It won't immediate acclaim. Since then, he has published several novels and short story collections. We have difficult words, dear students. If you have any confusion, you can get the words meaning over here. And then we have a question answer, definitely will be sent to you, and you have to write your answer after the reading of the lesson. You have to write the answers by your own. Send me, I will check them. Here we have dear student exercise. And exercise vocabulary and grammar is given. Vocabulary, use the words in parentheses to form a new word to fill the blanks. Now, dear students, what you have to do, the word is happy, get, fit, ideal, enjoy, create, satisfy. The words are given. But now you have to make them new words from same words in the sentence accordingly. Now, like according to the experts, the way you spend your free time is vital to your general happy. So what will be here? Happiness, and getting the right balance is very important. It goes without saying that physical fitness is the key, so everyone's leisure time should include some form of exercise, idealizing something that you find enjoyable. Most people also gain satisfaction from doing something creative, such as painting, cooking, or gardening. However, not all your free time activity should be solitary, or you may end up feeling lonely. Companionship is also important to most people's sense of well being, but you must find the right kind of social interaction. Membership in some groups, such as political parties, can simply lead to stress and frustration. Joining a social group like blood donation society or yoga classes are likely to be much more beneficial. So these words are, dear students, this exercise is done by me, and we have same on this page 91 exercise about the grammar. Let's have a look. A grammar, transitive or intransitive. Dear students, first of all, you must be well aware about the transitive and intransitive. Then what is transitive and what is intransitive? Transitive verbs are those verbs which carry a clear object, and intransitive verbs, those verbs which do not carry a clear object. Means they don't have an object clearly. Noun and pronoun always plays the work of a object. So let's have a look. Tell whether the verbs in color are transitive or intransitive. Put a tick on the correct option. Now she was crying all day long. So now what is crying is what? Is transitive or intransitive? All day long. No, because there is no any object. So this is called a intransitive. Number one, we showed her the photo album. So her, the photo album, both her is also pronoun, photo album noun, so it contains a clear object, so it's a transitive. Here we have same exercise over here, dear students. And number three, the doctor advised me to exercise regularly. So what is advised over here, dear? Me is also pronoun, and exercise regularly, so this is the verb transitive. It was raining at that time. Now look, raining at that time, there is no any noun or pronoun which is working as an object. So this is kind of intransitive verb. Number three, she laughed at the joke. This is intransitive because at the joke, you can't say that. And you know one thing more important, dear students, intransitive verbs cannot change into the passive, but transitive verbs can change easily into passive. So when you wanted to know about is it transitive or intransitive, try to change into the passive as well. Passive as well. If it becomes passive, so it means it's transitive. If not, then it is intransitive. Number 7, she gave a cookie to the child. So this is a cookie to the child. A cookie, yes, was given by her to the child. To transit, it can passive as well. They slept in the street. So slept in the street is intransitive. I ate the cherries. Ate is transitive. My father doesn't drink coffee. This is transitive. And he always keeps his money in a wallet is transitive. Now, what is this? Tell whether the verbs in the following sentence are transitive or intransitive, then use these verbs in your own sentence. Now, dear students, what you have to do in this exercise, you have to find out all these verbs are transitive or intransitive. Like some ants fight fiercely. So what you will say, is it transitive or intransitive? So like this, you have to uh, finish this exercise, complete this and send to me, and I will check it. So this is very important for you to now some number two. This is homework, dear students. It is homework for you, and do it home and send to me. What is homework, dear students? Our homework is about grammar, transitive and intransitive verbs, page number 92, exercise B, and tell whether the verbs in the following sentence are transitive or intransitive. Then use these verbs in your own sentences. Dear students, this is all about today's lecture, and hope so you have got the meaning and keywords from the lecture, and you have a homework, send it to me. And if you have any query, any problem, you can ask me just after this lecture at the Zoom meeting. I'm available. Thank you for joining, and this is all about today's lecture. See you again. Have a good day, and Allah Hafiz.